Uh, apparently we're live. I think we're live. Um, Great. Hi. What's going on? I have definitely hit record in Spreaker this time, but actually the audio in from StreamYard was amazing. It was really good. This sounds kind of quiet. I don't like being quiet. I like being loud, with the exception of whilst I'm at home, of course. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. This arm, I swear to God, this microphone arm is losing the will to live with so much weight on it. Look, look. I still need to get like I was gonna put an Afro pick in this just to make it look a little bit funny. Um, I I have a lot of things I should be doing. All right, cool. So everything is running. This is the live stream. The live stream is going up on YouTube. The live stream is also on my Facebook page. Hi, profile, not page. I have a page that I should be nurturing because I eventually want to remove my profile. But you know, uh, there's so many things I need to do. Again, herding of squirrels is a tough job to have. So I'm gonna like officially start the podcast with a nice opening music. And I actually need to remember what the hell the topic of today's is. I didn't make notes today. Like today's been crazy, and it's only 10 past 10 in the morning, and today's already been crazy. Um, that's it. The sum of your peers and the dangers of. I have post-it notes. Wait, show me the rest of the post-it note. And the dangers within. The inherent dangers of labels that bleed beyond helpful identity. Ooh, I must have been in the mood when I wrote that. All right, cool. Right, let's get stuck in. Cora, I hear that. I hear that. Thank you. Validation is great. Here we go. Hello, it's me. There is no auto ducking here, which is a bit weird, so I'm gonna have to manually auto duck, which is a little bit weird, but I'm kind of used to it. Hello, welcome to another episode of Getting Shiggy with. I'm Shiggy, obviously. So this is episode 34. I think I got a little bit excited on YouTube and other places with the episode numbers, and I think I said it was like episode 35 or episode 36 or something crazy. And it is not. It is episode 34. We are still a long, long way from 100, so you still have to deal with me for a while. Yay! I hope you guys have had a great week so far. It's only Tuesday. I'm still bummed that I fractured my toe. I don't know if I said that on the last one, but yeah, I fractured my toe. And it's actually messing with my head a lot more than I thought it would be because being restricted beyond how I want to restrict myself is a little bit of a weird thing to have, where it's just like, no, you cannot do stupid things. You cannot do your movement stuff. You cannot go climbing or go to the freaking gym because weirdly enough, you need your big toe to do those things. Although actually with the gym, I called them up and said, hey, can I hobble around your gym with crutches and do upper body? And they're just like 100% absolutely. I'm just like, thank you, Gaines. Even though I'm wearing a shirt, if you're watching this live stream, I've got a shirt that says ladies quad squad. I have no quads. I'm team no carbs. My quads have disappeared. I think all I have left is a little shallow like case of what my upper body used to be like 2 years ago. Play the violins, but yes, it sucks. It sucks, and my sister from another mister, good, really good friend Dash. Yeah, it messes with your head for sure. So my friend Dashi, she posted a picture of her x-ray of her foot, her left foot. So I've got my right foot that's fractured. She looked at the x-rays again, and I swear if I saw these x-rays, I would just been like, that's broken. She has a fractured, it says a sesamoid. I always get the words wrong. I can read it right, but like I read a lot and don't speak, English much. I think it's a sesamoid. So there's two little button bones that you have underneath your big toe, which is the ball of your foot. Ah, If you ever wonder why we call it the ball of your foot, because there's two little ball bones there. That's probably not why we call it the ball of your foot, but I made it up and it's gonna stick. So there, it's stuck in your head rent free. She has a fracture on one of those, which is crazy because she's been through all other things, thinking it was like gout or whatever. But like, yeah, that's the thing. So we have solidarity at the moment with fractured foot things and the inability to do stuff. Sesamoid, there we go. That's the thing. It's just nice. I like having this interaction stuff. It's really fun. So yeah, today's episode. Wow, big old left field thing. Pulling it back without the notes today. It's interesting talking about friends and stuff. The sum of your peers and the dangers within, and the inherent dangers of labels beyond helpful identity. So I think I know where this came from. I have, again, with work, I spoke about work in the last episode quite a bit. I create audio content for people. I edit it, I create it, I sexify your voice, I make you sound beautiful, and all of these wonderful clickbaity words. But ultimately, I had a new client, and she is amazing. Is amazing. We're still working together, which is great. And with working for myself, I have decided to unapologetically be myself. As you are hearing the way I talked to you, to this podcast right now, so is how I talk to my clients. I send emojis, I send GIFs, I will send emails that don't have the hello and kind regards ending to it, because I'm like, I don't do that. I don't need it. Like, if you need to ping me a message, you ping me a message. Just like all this rigmarole and stuff is blah 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 blah. Of course, if it's corporate, then I'll do the corporate. I'll play the corporate game. I have been in the theater, darling. That played out differently in my head, but yeah, so I had this new client, and I was excited, still excited, because we're doing some really fun experimental things. I love it when people come in with like, can you do this? I'm like, shit, I don't know, let me try. Love it, absolutely love it. And that was the energy of our conversation, the initial kind of just like, the feelers, where you got two lions just kind of like checking each other out and circling around and being like, what do you do? Like, I do stuff. What do you do? Like, I do stuff too. And yeah, so mad excited. And beyond that, like, I realized the things I was doing, the way I was just kind of going off on tangents and coming back and going off on another tangent and coming back, and just lots of tangentializing, that word, fragmenting across the board and coming back together. She was on board with me, and I kind of realized I was doing this. I said, look, I'm really, really sorry. I've got ADHD, and I have a bit of a squirrel brain, just going on and on and on and on, and just kind of like explaining myself. And she's like, we don't do labels here. And I was like, ooh, that's fair. That's a fair point. That's a very fair point. And that's probably why I wrote this on a Post-it note, because knowing what you are, identifying what you are, who you are, what you do, why you do what you do is all well and good, but falling into the rabbit hole and sinking deep, deep, deep into the tarry pits of, it's not identity politics, although it does kind of brush onto that, but deep into the world of hyper belonging, kind of having your label, then your sub-label, then your sub-label, then you're kind of like in-betweenies, and you're just kind of like ninja slicing all of these labels to kind of turn yourself into a World of Warcraft character, is dangerous, because knowing who you are is great. Knowing what you stand for, perfect. But ultimately, hyper boxing yourself in to what you can almost describe as like a little doll drawer, just like, this is who I am. This is what I do. Like, you've completely alienated yourself way too far into just, your own little box of one, where you might kind of see other people in their respective boxes of ones. And as humans, we are not completely individualized. Like, that's not what we're designed to do. We don't just sit on our own kind of space. We do ultimately thrive in communities. I am actually just going to do a thing, because that's what I do. I randomly remember stuff Like, okay, I am live. Look at that. I look so professional. You can't see that if you're listening to this, but I'm also gonna edit this part out. But yeah, I look like my mother. Anyway, so yeah, if you're waving hello to someone else in their little space, we are creatures. We're social creatures. We need to be around each other, whether it's in a light of high energy, talking, connecting, communicating, da 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 da. When you're a full on extrovert, or whether it's sitting in a library or a quiet space with just other people doing quiet things and just loving the energy that you're around. Humans are social creatures. We are not islands of one. And I will fight to the death on that point because my mother died from that, funnily enough. Or rather, she ended her life because she was an island of one. So I don't agree with it. I will fight you. So it's really important that having these labels is a fun thing. Yes, like I'm gonna say it's weird that I feel uncomfortable with this, but I have my reasons why, being Kenyan. I'm a black queer woman, right? Black queer cis woman, and my pronouns are she her, and that's fine because that is what is necessary for society right now. To understand, to have allyship, to talk about things that need to be talked about. Any of those kind of spaces, that title that I have for that space is fine. There are places where that is not exactly necessary. When I'm doing security work and I'm working front line of a huge ass nightclub, right? I'm Shiggy and I'm female. That's it, right? That's where it is. If you need to know any more, I'm Dutch Kenyan. Again, that's it, right? A little bugbear that some I suppose third culture kids and I suppose fourth or fifth generation people of color have is when someone comes up to you and they're like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "London." They're like, "No, no, 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 no. Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Bro, I understand from again, because labels help us understand and compartmentalize people. I understand why it happens, but I'm still not happy about it. I'm just like, you're basically saying, what kind of black are you? Like, because I'm probably going to fetishize you if I'm not a black person and say, I dated a black person once. That happens. Or do you use cocoa butter on your skin? Because my girlfriend that I dated in university used cocoa butter and it's great. I'm like, great. So I'm part of your wank bank now. That's really fascinating. Or they'll be like, my grandmother owned property in Kenya. And I'm just like, oh, she's a colonizer. That's lovely. Yes, I'm sure her, we've probably had the same children go to the same private school because I was privately educated. So that where are you from question is fucking annoying, but I can appreciate sometimes why people do it, because when you know where someone's from, when you know where someone is from, I don't know why when is in there, the original location of of someone, it brings familiarity, right? And familiarity makes us makes us comfortable. So if I'm in a room, probably commanding the entire space because I need attention. No, it's just whatever. If I'm in a room and someone knows me, they will have a list of things that they will be able to use in a conversation to kind of associate with me. If they're a really good friend, then they have then they have an encyclopedia to use. But it's this association where it kind of builds rapport. So I'm talking to one person, and I see Bob in the corner. I'm like, "Hey, Bob," and because we're talking about the structural integrity of the inside of a ping pong ball, that was a detention essay I had to do at college once, or rather threatened. I actually didn't do detention at college, but that was one of the essays that were threatened. I really wanted to do it. I really wanted to get detention so I could do it, but that's another story. Anyway, me and this other person, we're talking about the inside of ping pong balls and their structural integrity and why they don't collapse and everything. And Bob is in the corner and was like, dude, like, let's get Bob in here. Bob's a really good friend. Bob's also a third culture kid. He was educated in an international school in Sri Lanka, and he popped over to Kenya for a bit, and we played Unreal Tournament together, and he just like sniped the crap out of me. But anyway, he's a really good gamer, but like he loves talking about this bullshit too. And then he'd come over, right? So that's what we do, right? So labels help, super help, with reminders that we have for people, for associations, and for all that kind of stuff. So our status kind of gets elevated as a result, right? So here's a friend and I know this about them and you need to know about them because they know about this that you like and I like, and now we can kind of convene together, and now we've become a little baby community for all of 2 minutes because small talk absolutely fucking kills me. And that's, that's helpful. That's really helpful. When labels start getting abused, right? And used in the wrong space. I don't want to say bad spaces, because there's no bad spaces. There's just timing, wrong timing for labels in certain spaces. I'll use my example, right? Because it's something I am battling with. That, I don't outwardly say. You might see a little bit of purple here and there, and you might see like a unicorn here and there and everything. I would not be openly my queer self. Like, this is how much I'm struggling with this. I would not be my openly queer self if, as and when I go back home to Kenya, because the whole LGBT space over there is not good. Okay. If I'm in the city, I might be okay. If the wrong person catches wind of it and they just don't like me, I could be dead. Okay. If you live in a Western city or anything, then this might be a little bit of an alien concept for you. Being killed for, yes, you can be killed for whatever reason. If the wrong people just don't like the way you look, right, it can be game over very fucking quickly. So me being part of the Q and the B in the LGBTQI plus spectrum, I would not openly, like, even saying it now on this podcast, I'm uncomfortable as fuck saying it. But if I went over back home to Kenya, I ain't saying shit. Like, I will let people throw their assumptions about me, like, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. Like, why do you have tattoos on your head? Why do you have your hair cut the way you do? Why do you wear the things you do? I'm just like, we can talk about it. I am not giving ammunition to people, okay, in those spaces, because I like my life. My life is nice. I love Kenya to pieces, but they got a lot of work to do. So in those spaces, you have to choose your little battles wisely, because if you don't and you say the wrong thing in the wrong space, you could be dead. That's it. I have had conversations in the past where, well, it shouldn't be like that. I'm like, yeah, it shouldn't be like that. And I'm sure there's a lot of work going towards, kind of changing the narrative. But right now, the majority space in Kenya is homophobic, right? If you are gay or lesbian or bisexual or queer or trans or intersex or asexual or trans, like, if you're anything like that, you need to shut the fuck up over there, right? There's little bubbles where it's safe, but if you go out of those bubbles, then you could potentially be killed. So that's where labels, need to be covert. It's really sad. It's horrible that this even happens. And, I'll prefer to be, my magical unicorn self everywhere. But even in Europe, there are certain places where, like, I know full well that my look already is going to garner some kind of attention where she's like, she's not usual. She's not usual. Which segues really nicely and sexily into othering. Othering is a thing. I don't care who you are. Again, I will fight you on this. I don't care who you are, where you are in the world. Othering is a thing. There's good othering and there's bad othering. Okay? All right? And I think it's crucial for people to understand that othering is okay. You just need to understand what kind of othering goes on. Because if you have a label, then there's an us aspect and there's a them aspect, right? So I am female, ergo there are other genders as well, right? There's not just male. Again, I will fight you on this one, but I am female and there are other genders, which does create a space of othering. I am a cis female, right? Where I am, my biological get up and my mental get up and my social societal get up, they all smush together in the same waveform, I suppose, right? So in that sense, I am in this space and this is who I am, and those are other people there. They're like bodied female, cis female people, and we have our space, which is fine. But there are other people out there, and we need to include those people, right? And they, because it's not necessarily she, like in the space of female and or women, right? It will be a they space because there are so many different factions of what women, female kind of the space is. And people, who don't want to understand or don't want to accept it will fight. And that's the other. That could potentially be labeled the bad other. But I wouldn't call it the bad other. I would just call it the probably, the frictioned other, right? Because I've had conversations again with people who just don't want to understand any of it. I'm just like, yeah, but if you try to look at it this way, maybe it's a little bit more comfortable for you. And they're like, oh, yeah, it is. Okay, cool. Now I understand. I'm like, oh, phew, that was easy. Now let me just go to Kenya and do it without getting killed. So with that, it's othering is okay. It's just when people get really upset or annoyed or want to be stuck in their ways and they don't want to accept that there's other angles, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's when you have these fights, these issues, these conversations, these protests, these needs for laws to come into place to just make the acceptance of others an okay thing. It doesn't need to be drama. It doesn't need to no one's, stamping on your neck, right? The people who want to be seen are usually the ones who have someone, some old school kind of mentality being stamped on their neck. So that's something that needs to be addressed. And this is why labels are helpful, right? And this is why also labels might not be helpful, because certain people might get overwhelmed. And yes, it's not our duty to, pander to blah, 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 whatever, fine. Certain people will get overwhelmed. So kind of reeling things back to a space that they understand and then pushing into spaces that they don't understand is more helpful than screaming and telling people like, this is the way it should be and that's that. And like, fuck your feelings. Because you're just going to create more enemies. Like you're now pandering. You are now pandering to the frictioned other, right? The frictioned othering, which doesn't help people. Comment, the world has never been a more divisive place, and until we can become unity in our consciousness, we will eventually destroy ourselves. I am going to challenge that. So this is just a comment that's come in. I love this. Like, if you've got things you want to say them. I'm using StreamYard for a reason, so we can have this conversation. The world was way more divisive further back in time because we had smaller collectives of people. We didn't have the internet. I'm talking, a time when we didn't have the internet, we didn't have telephones. Like, letter writing might have been the only form of association we had. In those times, people were born, raised, and more or less died in a village. And that's what they had. They had this village. So this space was this village. This space was that village. That. Right? If you wanted to go somewhere, like, it was a big thing because you'd have to go on a horse or walking. In Africa, in large places of Africa, it's still a thing where, like, if you need to go to a main town, you're either walking for 2 days, 1 or 2 days. And I'm not talking like a 6-hour day. I'm talking a 24-hour day, right? You need to sleep, obviously, but you're going. It's a effectively a pilgrimage, or at a specific time if a bus comes once a week, or you've got a cousin who has a motorbike that might just make it to the city before it needs to get fixed up again before it can take you back. Isolation was a huge thing that encouraged othering purely on a geographical level, right? And as the world started getting more connected and it got bigger in the sense of, our hermitages and our villages would become bigger into like towns where, there's maybe 400-500 people up to 1,000 people. And then they get bigger into cities and mega cities, all these kind of things. These circles of association now start kind of having to intersect each other. So as a result, our little pockets of like-mindedness now kind of has to accommodate and associate with other spaces, which is fine, perfectly fine. But as monkeys, as apes, we have a threshold of how many genuine connections we can have at any given time. And I know for chimps it's like 100. I think we're at about 150, which is the size of a hermitage, either a hermitage or a village. My that knowledge is gone because I need to have more knowledge about alcohol, beverages, and stuff whilst I'm DJing. So the amount of like proper human, definitely the amount of like actual human connections one person can have of like actual full-on high quality connections, I think is between 150 and 165 people at any given time. So things like social media and stuff means we have a lot of superficial touch points, right? If you have a friends list, I think I have a friend on Facebook. I think it's over 1,000. I switched off when it went over 800. I was like, I don't know who these people are, like, but I do have connections with, it changes over time. But if you have like a friends list of over 1,000, or you've got, X thousand followers, wherever they are, you don't know every single person. You can't know every single person. You can try as much as possible to have the same kind of vibration of people who are in your space, but there's going to be people that are going to disagree with your stuff, and they should, right? Because we've gotten so big, and because, we've expanded so quickly, and we've created a digital consciousness, for want of a better phrase, there is going to be bashing, there is going to be disagreement, and we have to have disagreement. We have to have critical thinking. We have to disagree and be okay with disagreeing, because that creates frictionless othering. So I think the idea of full-on unity. So again, I'm going to be slightly controversial with this comment, the end bit, the unity in our consciousness. We need to become a unity in our consciousness, because we will eventually destroy ourselves. I think if we're going to go down that angle of consciousness thinking, because I'm very much in that space. I think about 10 episodes ago, I spoke about my whole space in that. I might come and touch it again. This is with the plant medicine episode. I'm very much in the space, but not as hugely as people would think, but I am. Unity in consciousness means we have to destroy ourselves. We have to. Like, if we're gonna look at what ourselves are, it's the ego. And man, do I really want to go down this route? Because this is going to be like a freaking 90-minute monologue. I mean, it's already been a 25-minute monologue. No, I'm not going down that hole. But trying to say that we need to have a unity in consciousness is a little bit misleading, because Western ideologies of consciousness versus Eastern ideologies of consciousness versus African ideologies of consciousness, right? Because we're a huge ass continent that people forget is huge. And people forget, like, we have huge spiritual history that only the elders have. And if you go home, and you can reach them and you can tap into that, then you start understanding that there's huge stuff that like no one can even really comprehend, but it's there in books, but unless you look for it, you won't find it. But consciousness in a conventional Western ideology is problematic. I'm gonna leave it at that because like there's a whole conversation here, and Cora, like I'm gonna message you because we need to have a chat because I love this kind of stuff. But again, I don't want to go down into a huge monologue. Because it's a good topic. It's a really good topic, but we are still kind of sitting in the space of labels and the dangers within and how they're helpful. And I'm currently in the space of community and othering, which was answering your question anyway. I think I spent 10 minutes answering that. So pulling it back, we need to be careful with labels because they're great, no doubt. They're great. They're helpful. Our names are labels as well. Of course, if someone mispronounces or misspells my name, I pop an eye vessel every time someone spells my name with a Y, because I'm like, it always happens after I've spelled my name, right? You can see it if you're watching this. You can see it in the bottom left corner. It's with an I. And if you pronounce your vowels in the two different ways they're meant to be done, it still makes sense. If it's Shiggi with an I, Shiggi, Shiggi. If you spelt it with an E, I'd probably understand that more, but like a Y, Shiggi, the only word I can associate with that is sloppy. But labels are important. Another tangent that I'm going off on to look for Y's. If you say A-E-I, Shiggai, that wouldn't make sense. No one's ever said that. But A-E-I-O-U, E is I. A-E-I, E-E-I-O-U. So Shiggy kind of associates with that side of things. Yay, did you know that I learned English, and English is not my first language, but it's my only language? Now you do. So it's really important to kind of look into yourself. I'm going to wrap this up because I have to hobble to a climbing gym. It's going to take me forever. So this is going to be a fun, short episode because there's a lot of scope with this one, and I want to come back to this one, but with other humans. That's going to be a thing. There's going to be other humans on this show very, very soon. I've already done a couple of recordings, not live recordings, because I need to edit those ones quite a bit. Labels are important and labels are great, but don't let hyper uber niche labels box you in to the point that you become aggressive about them. You know, that you become angry that people aren't on the same page as you. Because if you're giving people a World of Warcraft character list of labels, like, people are going to fuck up and people are going to like potentially mentally disregard that because, you know, everyone has a very short profile list of people. And, you know, if you're in their life long enough, like, that list will permanently grow. If you're an associate or someone that's just coming into their life and passing, it will literally be like one or two things. And you need to not get upset about that if you want more people to be if you want to be liked. You know, just make it easy for people to be on your side. All right, labels are great, but also labels can damage relationships really, really quickly, because at the end of the day, we are monkeys. Okay, we are apes, right? I would stand up and show you my monkey tattoo, but I don't think it's appropriate. It's not an ape. Sorry, it's not a monkey. It's a chimp. He is my chimp. But it's a good chat up line when you go into a bar. Remember those? And you're sat at the bar and you're just kind of like, would you like to see my monkey? And the person's like, I don't know. If you're not a native English speaker or live in the UK, when you relate to a monkey, it usually relates to male genitalia. So I think there's the phrase "spank the monkey" or something. I don't even know where that originates from. If it has a racial fucking origin, I'm sorry. Um, see, taking ownership of things. But as a chat up line, would you like to see my monkey? Kind of causes slight levels of alarm, which tickles me to no end. I'm like, just a tattoo. What did you think I was? What? What's wrong with you? Get your mind out the gutter. So you're welcome, Corolla. You're very, very welcome, fellow non-native English speaking friend. So use your labels, accept that some people aren't going to tag along as readily as you have, and don't be mad about them because it's a big old world out there, and we have so many connections now. It's ridiculous. Like, just think about how many people, off the top of your head, like right now, name 20 people that you know, not 20 names, right? 20 people that you know that like you could go into your phone and look at their phone number. Because if you can remember their phone number, that's great. But like, remember when that was a thing? When you had like 5 friends and you knew their phone numbers off by heart? Huh. God, I'm old. So think of 20 people, 20 friends right now. David, Emma, Roger, Charlotte. Fuck. More people, more people. Friends. Justin, Emily, that's 6. No family members. Not allowed to think of family members, because that's what I just went through mentally. No exes either. I'm on 6. But say their names, like literally say their names and count up to 20 names of people who are friends, like legit full on friends. Just like name 20, not 10. 10 is easy. Name 20 people. I gave up at 7 just because I couldn't mentally like go through people and then like kind of bring it into this world. It's interesting, right? So if you can name 20 people, then name 30 people. Name, like, keep on going until you reach a point where you can't think of people, not from a business point of view, not from a family point of view, but just friends who are not related to you, who are not business people, and just really kind of tap into that and tap into, why do you remember that person? Why has that person's name popped up into your head? So those 7 people that I thought of, they've popped up because once upon a time, I have regular dinner parties with them. They're Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu buddies, but have grown beyond just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I hang out with them regularly. They're climber friends. They're friends from nightclubs. Like, there's always going to be a really key association that you're going to have with those people, like your village, right? Your mental village. I have a tiny hermitage in my head, apparently. Your mental village will be small because you will have an association with every single person. Your Facebook friends, right? You might superficially remember specific things about them, but you won't from their picture, unless their picture is designed to kind of remind you of who they are very, very quickly. Like, if I put my DJ picture up and it's got the illuminated eyes on it, people remember, oh, it's Shiggy, she DJs with the eye things, right? So superficial kind of associations. This is a business tactic, by the way. Personal branding, something I learned is a thing. If you artificially create that kind of top of mind reminder for people, obviously they're gonna remember you very, very quickly, which is something that I do. I just say random stupid shit on my social media just to poke people and get them to remember, oh, Shiggy does audio things. She does audio things. She spoke about weird thing and then about her toe, but she does audio things. Like, that's how you kind of hack the psychology of us apes. But your friends, your true friends, ultimately you will have a list of labels or a list of things that they do, and it will be a short list or a long list depending on how long you've known them for. And that's something to tap into. I know I've gone in a circle like 3 times now. But I'm just trying to get this point across. The sum of your peers is important. Like, the people who are around you is important. for conversations, for having frictionless friction, or like frictionless or slightly abrasive conversations. Because if you have too many yes men around you, it'll ruin you. You need to have people who will challenge you, people who will disagree with you, people who will happily, verbally, in a healthy space, verbally spar with you and your ideas and thoughts. Philosophy isn't just for people at Cambridge. Philosophy is for everyone. If you wonder about the structural integrity of the inside of a ping pong ball and you don't do anything associated with physics, I can guarantee that conversation with someone will go off into other things, which is super, super fun. So it's really important that the group of people you have around you help you expand as a person and help you expand beyond labels. Because if you are a level 3 dungeon master with, I don't play World of Warcraft, I don't even play Dungeons and Dragons or anything, but if you're associating and kind of terming yourself in that way, you are losing so much. You're leaving so much of life out. And I implore you to just not let go of labels, because like we really do need labels, but just to kind of expand into spaces where you can have fun, and if someone says, I don't agree with that, don't interpret it as you're wrong. That's a whole other, I need to post it. No, that's a whole other thing. Because everyone's just like, well, if you don't agree with me, like, what makes you think you're so right? I'm like, I didn't say I'm right. I just said I don't agree with you. Like, slow your fucking roll. So have discourse, have these things. Don't hold on to your labels super tightly. Just use them where you need to use them, right? Because ultimately we're just big old paranoid apes on a flying donut. And I think it's really important to have fun, because if you don't, you're gonna have a bad time. And I think that's where we're gonna end today's episode. Obviously, because the exit music has come on. So once again, thank you for watching the live. If you've been part of the live, thank you so much. If you're listening to this on any of the platforms, the podcast platforms, thank you for listening. And if you want to reach out and have a chat, I think the best place at the moment is Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram as Shig. That's ELSHIG. I'm on Twitter as Shig as well. I'm getting on there a little bit more. And if you want to find me on Facebook and you want to join in on the live discussions, I am Shigimus on Facebook. Or just look for Shiggy, like Shiggy Pactor. Just Shiggy is my Facebook page. Or find me on YouTube, because I stream live on YouTube as well. But yeah, thank you so much for joining in on the conversations on Facebook. It's hugely appreciated. And this will be out on Thursday at some point. I haven't figured out a time yet. But yeah, until then, look after yourselves, look after each other, and I love your face. Okay, bye. And that's the show done. But because it's the behind the scenes, you get to see how like I live fade stuff out. So I reduce my own editing time, because I'm a very busy human being. Like literally right now after this, I have to like get changed and hobble across London. Cool. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop the Spreaker. I recorded on Spreaker this time. Holy shit. If I hit stop. Okay, cool. That's been saved. Cool. Thank you so much. Yes, we are on a flying donut. I think it's a tasty planet. Thank you so much, guys, on Facebook and on YouTube for getting stuck in on the conversation. I am committing to doing every episode on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. British Standard Time. Yes, Tega, hit me up. Let's chat. Let's talk. I am all about that life. Love your faces. This is going to be pinned because that's a thing now. I don't know if you know you can do this on your Facebook profile. You can pin posts so it stays there. So every week I'm just going to change that pin so this exciting shit can be put up on there, and then I'll put a link to the episode as it goes. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna be here next Tuesday, actually on time. I didn't realize it was 10 o'clock and I forgot I actually have a thing to do. But yeah, let me know what you thought about it. If you've got any post episode queries, questions, disagreements. I like disagreements. And have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. Whatever you get up to, be nice to people because it just feels good. All right. On that note, I am out of here. See you later.